Hi, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
And this is Northwest Brew Talk. Welcome to Northwest Brew Talk, the number one show on brewing in Washington and the Northwest. All right, I am Mike Rizzo, and this here is episode number 90. And it is which show, Michelle?
Our final episode.
That is right. We started the show in January of 2015. This is episode number 90, and we decided that too many things going on, so we're just going to drink 4 beers tonight. We've got an interview with Bellwether Brewing, and that interview is sponsored by Micro Homebrew in Kenmore, Washington. And that will be our final interview. We're going to do a little talking about some of the shows we've done, some of the people we've met, the industry, and that's pretty much what the show is going to be about tonight. How about that, Michelle?
I'm excited and a little sad.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about maybe some of the things that have happened and, you know, just the show in general, and maybe people will get get an idea of why, you know, what it's like to do a show like this. Anyhow, why don't we start the show with a beer?
All right, let's open up our Hammerhead Ale by McMenamins first. This was gifted to us from McMenamins, and they've got several locations in Washington.
And all of our beers tonight were gifts.
Yes, they were all gifts. So this is their Northwest Pale Ale and a McMenamins Standard. This rich chestnut-colored gem is a model of harmony between hops and malted barley. Hammerhead's signature Cascade hop nose and intense hopped flavor blend nicely with the caramel tones from the crystal malt. This beer has a vocal following. To run out is an unforgivable sin.
All right. And yes, this one is a
6%
rust color.
Oh,
I guess rusty, a little
dark,
almost a reddish hue to it, but it's darker, that's for sure. Nice.
Smell the hops there.
Yep. Has a nice creamy head on it. Oh, stop.
Good flavor too.
Oh, yeah.
Not too bitter.
No.
Good malt sweetness. Mm-hmm. It's good.
Yeah.
Have we had this one before?
I don't know. Why does it taste familiar?
Well, I mean,
I don't think so. I don't know if they brought it out with cans before. I think
it really looks familiar, but maybe it's just I've seen it a billion times opening up there. That was the cooler.
Yeah, that was part of the thing about. I think it was why we got it was because it was a new can release, and I believe that's why we received it. Because
that's right.
It was a new can release.
That's right. It was because they're just putting them in cans now with the Witchy Woman one.
Right. This is a tall boy too, so
it is a very cool looking can. I've just seen it so many times opening up.
It's a full pint. It's a full pint, so you can drink one of these
or two.
Or two. All right, so Northwest Brew Talk. We've reason we started the show was to a couple of reasons. I was writing Buffalo beer at the time, and I had finished it. Wanted to do something else, and we decided that getting involved in the brewing industry here would be a good thing to do. I didn't find any other podcast on brewing in Washington.
That was a big part of it. You know,
right.
You tend to try and find things that you can do. You know, you don't write books that have already been written, and this was one of those things that you were starting out driving all day long in your day job, and you're listening to podcasts and trying to find things that you're interested in. And we had just realized that we both shared an interest in craft beer. I was not a beer drinker before, as our listeners who have listened to all our episodes know.
But why don't we get to that? I mean, the way we started the show, if you haven't heard the story before, is I bought a Groupon a couple years ago, and it was for Lazy Boy Brewing in Everett, and it was a flight of beer, and you get to take a growler home too.
It was for our anniversary.
What we decided to do was go out for the anniversary, and you were not a beer fan.
I was not a beer drinker at all.
No. And you were like, okay.
Great.
Exactly. So I'm like, well, you know what? We got this. We get to take a growler home and stuff too. So why don't we?
Yeah, that was a great deal.
It really was a good deal. And actually, when we talked to Sean, when we interviewed him last year, he said that it brought in a lot of people. So hopefully they, when you do these things, they do bring in people. Because we've done them in the past with some businesses we ran, and they don't always bring people in.
No, they don't always.
And depending on the type of business, it could actually be a detriment, too. So, yes, keep drinking beer. But, so what... you're going to spill that. So what we did was we went...
I would never do that.
We went to Lazy Boy for our anniversary, and we did the flight.
Mike convinced me to at least try one, and I tried their Hefeweizen.
Yes.
It's kind of a weird thing to try for the first. It just had that beer color to it, I guess, so I figured it would be the most, typical, golden.
Right. And, And
I went, wow.
Yeah, beer has some good flavor to it.
This doesn't taste like what I...
All right, we had a slight problem there with the child that was screaming.
Yeah, one of the reasons that we have to take a little break.
Yep. We have a 14-month-old who...
we thought it would get easier as she, didn't need to be held constantly. And, no, it didn't get easier. She just got louder.
Yeah, she did get louder. But anyhow, so we did the Lazy Boy thing, and Michelle found out that she liked beer. And
it actually had flavor, and it was amazing.
Had flavor, and... that's how she started to enjoy good craft beer.
And I started to drink those darker beers too. I'm pretty sure I tried. It had to have been a porter.
Something, yeah.
And so that's where it started. I went, wow, this tastes good, and we can finally have a shared hobby.
Yeah. So that's how the beer started, and then the show was just something else that we could do together because we could both drink the beer and everything.
We started out our first episode, I'm pretty sure it was just you.
It was because you weren't sure that you wanted to do it, and then you became pregnant too, so it was kind of tough for you to drink beer for like most 7-8 months of the first season.
Yeah, that was tough.
Or first whatever episodes. So yeah, that was tough, but it was fun. There was a lot of breweries that were very receptive to speaking with us. At first, we did a lot of phone interviews, and kind of had a set script of questions that I thought we should ask. And as time went on, I kind of developed more of a seat of my pants type questioning, kind of more of a...
Yeah, you did. Your interviewing skills definitely improved as the time went on.
Yeah, because I understood more about the industry and what went into different things, so I knew what to ask people. But why don't we open another beer?
All righty, let's move on. Let's go to our blonde here. Right. A gift from Lewitt. Their Flat Track Blonde. Got a roller derby woman on the front there.
Roller derby.
Make sure
And she's blonde with tattoos.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it seems to be a pretty common thing for them to
tattoos.
Be tatted up.
Yeah.
Flat Track Blonde Ale pays homage to our local women's flat track roller derby league. We toast to your bruises, scrapes, and scars with this brutally refreshing, lightly hopped beer. For those who are hell on wheels, we salute you.
All right.
Looks good.
Pour some beer.
Nice light color.
Yep.
Big head.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what she said. It's definitely it's lighter, but it's a dark gold. Dark gold, and you poured a huge head on mine and none on yours.
Yeah, I poured properly on mine.
So I've got like 3 inches of head here, but it looks good.
Straw color.
Yeah, mild
Smells
aroma.
Good.
It's mild.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it doesn't have a big, in your face hop flavor, which it shouldn't.
And it's a blonde. It's very, very light tasting.
Oh.
Malty.
Very malty.
Malty, but very light. Obviously, this would be like a gateway beer.
Drug.
gateway beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Very light.
Yep. If somebody was a mega beer drinker, then that would be something I'd point them in that direction.
Yeah, because it definitely gives you some flavor, some malt flavor. Definitely. but it's very light, so you're not getting hit in the face with tons of hops or anything.
That's the biggest complaint I hear from. I mean, not that I talk to so many people, but when you talk to people who are mega beer drinkers, that's those hops. I can't stand those hops.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. Not all beer is hoppy.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to find the right one.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of our episodes. Some of our biggest episodes. Early on, one of our biggest episodes was Fremont. It wasn't quite early because we interviewed Matt Lincecum from Fremont on like December 30th, something like that. So it was.
Yeah, we tried to get a hold of him earlier, but he has a gatekeeper.
He had a gatekeeper who would not let me talk to him at all. You know, we contacted.
You've been doing this how long now?
Hundreds of breweries in Washington, and tried to get people to do interviews, and a lot of them had no problems doing interviews. Smaller ones, especially medium-sized ones, were good with it, but the big ones sometimes were a little harder. But we were able to get into Iron Horse, and I talked to Mike Hale from Hale's Ales. Two big ones at the very beginning were Mari and Will Kemper from Chuckanut.
Yeah,
I mean these are people that are. You know,
Charles Finkel.
Charlie Finkel.
Unfortunately, we didn't do an interview with him.
We never did an interview, but talked to him multiple times and had lunch with him and everything. He's fantastic, him and his wife.
Drank a lot of beer.
Yeah, he's an extremely nice man. And I know a lot of people think Pike is a tourist attraction, but they actually have some really good beer, too.
They do. I don't think we've ever had one that we didn't like.
No.
And like you said, Roseanne and Charles are just amazing people. Yep. They're so wonderful.
Yep, they're very nice.
Extremely genuine.
Yes, they really. I mean, he had started him and his wife had started a wine importing business, and then they decided that they were going to do a beer importing business, bringing in Belgians and English beers that you couldn't get in the United States, and that's kind of how they got involved in it. And then one of the questions I had asked him when we were talking with him one time was, why beer and not the wine or whatever? And he's like, well, because unlike politics or whatever, beer and wine you can like both of them. You don't have to be a Democrat or Republican. You can like beer and like wine. So it was kind of how they got into it. But yeah, and I think Pike has some really good beers. But our number one interview, though, was listen-wise, number of downloads and stuff, was with Fremont, with Matt Lincecum. By far, probably one of the most open interviews, too. He was... he
didn't hold anything back.
No, he didn't hold anything back about banking, about sales, about all kinds of things. And they are on pace to be the largest independent brewery in the state.
Yeah. By
far, by doubling anybody else.
That's exciting.
Yeah, definitely down in Seattle. And but a couple other ones that kind of surprised me when I was going through the numbers. Sound to Summit in Snohomish.
Oh, really?
Was one of our bigger listens. In fact, I think it was number 2. Now, we also, after a few months, we also started playing music. And what we did was we recruited music from anywhere in the state. Any independent band that wanted to submit music could. And we played a lot of different bands, a lot of different styles. And
Mike is very into music.
Yeah, which is kind of why I wanted to tie it in and just give people a plug.
Yep, and it was local places, so it's always nice to have some small bands. Not some of those major guys, but again, supporting the small business.
And that was one thing we didn't know sometimes, if the shows were popular because of the brewery, or because of the band, or because of the beer that we drank. We could never quite tell which was the one that drove the episode. But Sound to Summit was a big episode. American Brewing, which is no longer a standalone brewery anymore.
Right.
But American, we spoke with their head brewer. And Rooftop Brewing, we spoke to Craig when they were still in the middle of looking for a new or they had
location. We went to their location,
Right.
but they were still finishing everything up. They hadn't even started actually.
No,
really. I mean, they had started, but it didn't look like a brewery yet.
Right. They had shut down their previous garage location.
Right.
And actually have a rooftop location now, which is it's very nice.
Yeah.
And the other big one was Airways, which they're actually a decent sized brewery. They have 2 locations in Kent with both of them, I believe, have food too. So pretty cool. But that's those are like our top 5 shows that we had done over the past year and a half, almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years.
But anyhow, speaking of interviews, on this week's Micro Homebrew interview, we're talking with Bellwether Brewing. We're going to go have a chat with them, and we'll be back right after that. So, let's see. Bellwether Brewing. Why don't you give us a little background on, how you decide to get into the brewing business?
It kind of started just with, at least on my end, of course, my partner Dave would have his own story, but for myself, kind of started out as a dream or idea of just starting a full-service tavern or pub. As that was developing, talking with my wife and all that, she suggested, why don't you sell your own beer instead of selling other people's beer? And I thought that was a fantastic idea. So jumped in and started learning how to make my own.
Okay. So how long ago was that when you decided to start that?
About 4 years ago, a little over, I think.
Okay. So you were originally just you just wanted to run a tavern with taps, and then you decided to get into actually brewing your own.
Yeah, that's exactly how the whole thing started for me was, just doing kind of a food, selling other taps and all that stuff too.
Right. So you saw that was it something that you like? You like going to establishments like that, and that's kind of the thing that you wanted to do?
Yeah, definitely. As far as kind of the style, I've always been kind of more interested in the sort of old European model of taverns and pubs, and kind of brought that into Bellwether as well. But
okay.
So that was kind of the aim even back then, sort of an old world approach to the whole thing.
Okay. So when you decided to start brewing, did you do extract, or how did you go about starting?
I did do my first. Let me see, what was it? My first 3 batches were partial extract, partial mash, and I followed a recipe out of a book. And then after that, I just kind of went to town, got my full all grain setup going, and I started making my own recipes. Okay.
Well, so you dove into it right in 100%. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
so
just kind of learned the little process on my, with the following the recipe and doing a little extract. Just kind of got the process under my belt 3 times, and then just went for it.
Right. Well, that was especially since you knew that your ultimate goal would be to hopefully open a place.
Yeah, and that was exactly it. So I guess for me personally, it was a little bit quicker paced. I don't know.
Sure. So what did you start brewing? What did you have a goal, like in however many years you hope to open? Was it like, okay, these are the beers that I'd like to have on tap?
As far as specific recipe styles and things, towards the beginning, I didn't. I knew that I wanted to reflect some historical elements in the beers, and the very first original recipe that I made for myself was a braggot, using a lot of honey in there in the beer. As far as crafting the specific recipes, that didn't come until maybe the summer before we opened, and I really was getting, I guess, more serious about, okay, I need this pale ale, this stout, and get my variety going and all that.
So, Braggot is not a very popular. You hear of a couple breweries every once in a while that do it. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It is the ancient style of the Celts and Vikings primarily. They did that a lot. There's a few theories as to how it was actually developed. One that I kind of like, I guess you could say, is that they mixed finished beer and finished mead in the glass. So basically it was a table mix. And then they enjoyed it that way enough to start brewing it that way. And then they actually just threw honey into the ale fermentation.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of, essentially think of it as a mead ale hybrid.
So what does that, other than the style, what does that, do for that style? What is that flavor like?
Right. It can really depend. I mean, you can have any base style of beer. It can be fruity. It can be hoppy, IPA, stout, braggot. Anything could be made into a braggot.
Okay.
And overall, the main thing that does is really changes the body of it, and that will depend on what kind of honey you're using. If you're using a single stand like buckwheat honey that I use in the one that we call Seawolf, it's got a really rich body to it. If you use something more like clover honey, it's going to finish really dry, a bit crisper. It's still going to have almost, some people kind of describe it as almost medicinal, but at the same time really pleasant. It's just got that fermented honey flavor to it.
Right.
The nice thing about honey is that it does actually ferment very thoroughly, much more than malt. Malt attenuates that or ferments about 85%, something like that. Honey is well over 90%.
Oh, okay.
So unless you back sweeten it, braggots and meads as well will tend to be very dry.
Okay. Interesting. So what other styles were interesting to you that you like to brew?
Another one that really popped out for me, and that I do a lot at the brewery, is a root style. Excuse me, and that is a historical style that was very common throughout all of the brewing world, about pre-1600s.
Okay.
And basically that is just using any combination of herbs, spices, could be fruit or vegetable as well, instead of hops. Hops primarily kind of came out of Germany. I mean, they've grown around, but the extensive use in beer came out of Germany in the 1500s. And but prior to that, it was rosemary, mugwort, yarrow, juniper, pretty endless. Cinnamon, all kinds of stuff that was thrown in there. And I like experimenting with a lot of that. There's a whole lot of debate, discussion, and all that as to why hops ultimately sort of became the dominant herb of choice. Right. But obviously that's what has happened. And so throwing herbs in your beer almost seems like this new weird thing, but it's so old that it's new again.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's definitely a few breweries, Propolis, for example, that do a lot of herbs and different things like that too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they do some good stuff.
So
what? That's interesting. So now you brew something. Do you brew anything like that at the brewery?
Yeah. In fact, what's on tap right now, I've got. Trying to make sure I remember this. I think just two right now that don't have any hops in them at all.
Really?
One of them is a Nordic style. I call it just an ancient ale. Tried to, as much as I could study it, how it recreate an ancient Nordic style. Instead of hops, there's yarrow and juniper in it. There's a lot of honey in it, making it a braggot like what they would have done. And it is quite an unusual flavor profile. It's been doing very well. people do enjoy, like, they do enjoy coming in and trying different stuff. But, the other one is also a kind of an ancient style that I fashioned more after a Celtic tradition. That one uses heather. There's no hops in that one either. It is allowed to kind of spontaneously sour out just off of the heather itself. So that was, again, just something that through all the reading I did seemed like kind of how they did things. They threw a bunch of heather in. It was always described as a bit tart or sour or something. So I throw in a bunch of heather at the end and just let it sit for about 2 months. And by then it's got a really nice floral tartness on it.
Right. Very cool. That's they're definitely you're definitely not doing the the standard style profiles that everybody's used to.
Yeah, there's definitely a good option for that too. I mean, if you walk into the tap room, we've got 2 IPAs on tap right now, a Hefeweizen, a stout, a brown ale. So we do have those as well.
Sure. So what is the big seller at Bellwether?
It actually seems like it does pretty well across the board. There definitely are some that go quicker than others.
Sure.
It seems like the Hefeweizen that I call Second Breakfast is kind of an American Hefeweizen. I do throw in a little bit of lemongrass just for that kind of herbal lemony quality.
Okay.
That one does very well, as well as the Albion I was telling you about, the Celtic Ancient Ale. That one moves very quickly. Both of those I sometimes run out of and have a hard time keeping it on. Okay.
Do you guys do an IPA?
Yeah, there are a couple IPAs. I do keep one on called Pond Hopper, and that is, I describe it more as kind of bitter and malty. It's more of an English IPA.
Okay.
Kind of a throwback to where it all started, with the IPA stuff.
Right.
The other one I call Fibber McGee's IPA, and that one, the malt bill is relatively the same on every iteration. We are this weekend for our first birthday going to release the 10th version of it, and each time the hops are just a little bit different. So you can almost say it's kind of an experimental IPA, but yeah, each time the hop schedule and all that just a little bit different. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. That's very cool. So when now your partner, was he a friend? Was he somebody you knew before you decided to get into this?
Yeah, actually, we've known each other, I don't know the exact year, but maybe since our elementary days.
So just a few years.
School, we've known each other for a really long time. His dad was the pastor of the church where my family attended. I was a year ahead of him in school, so we didn't necessarily see each other a lot, because at that time, at that age, a year is a huge difference or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, our families knew each other real well, and through high school, we got to know each other more and all that.
Right. So what, how did it come that you guys decided to work on this together?
Yeah, he and his wife are really involved in community development and all that in their neighborhood. It's the Emerson Garfield neighborhood.
Okay.
And they were kind of throwing around a lot of ideas of what they wanted to do. They knew they wanted to do a business. I don't want to overspeak for them, but that was kind of their basic idea. And then I had been sort of separately developing my ideas for a brewery. He had drank a few of my beers, heard friends talking about them, and knew that I wanted to do that. So eventually we just put our ideas together.
Okay, awesome. So you said you're coming up on your first year anniversary. So how long did it take to put the whole project together before you opened?
Yeah, it felt like it was kind of breakneck speed, and it's pretty awesome. Today, actually, is our 1 year of being open, September 29th.
Nice.
I forget the exact day that we put in our just baseline original business application, business license, but that was in December of 2014.
Okay.
So by December 2014, 2014 was just our very first step of being official, and then by September 2015 we were open. So It was like 10 months.
Sure. So you guys have been open. You've been open for a year. Has the brewery, your business plan, has it at this point, has it met or exceeded, or how's it coming along from what you planned?
That's we're even addressing that ourselves, and we're trying to fully flesh some of that out.
Sure.
On one hand, we didn't fully lock ourselves into any huge grand idea, just because we kind of didn't know what to expect.
Right.
It certainly wasn't willy-nilly. I mean, we had a business plan, and actually in those nitty-gritty details that we did set forth, we have met and or exceeded everything, which has been great.
Okay.
We are looking at needing to upsize. I only brew on a barrel and a half system. It's tiny and brewing all the time.
Yeah.
And the only thing slowing me down on brewing any more per week is just fermenter space.
Okay, sure.
So we are looking at getting, upsizing hopefully by the end of winter. So by March, hopefully, we'll have a bigger system going. But yeah, as far as getting a few accounts established outside the brewery, we've done that. We're definitely at max capacity for brewing, so we have met a lot of those goals that we've set forth.
Okay. So does your brewery allow, you have the space to put in larger fermenters?
Yeah, that was something that even when we were redesigning, it's an old mechanic shop.
Okay.
And so when we were redesigning to be a brewery, we had all of that in mind. Like, hey, we're thinking big, we're starting tiny, but we're thinking ahead. And
Right.
So yeah, we do have the room to put in. We're sort of in discussion. We need to figure it out soon because there's a lot of lead time once we decide if we're buying it used or if we're buying it brand new to get manufactured. What size we're getting? We're leaning towards maybe 7 to 10 barrel, but
right.
Yeah,
Cool.
a huge jump.
Yeah, definitely. So when you said you have a few accounts, so do you plan on doing more distribution if you upgrade the system, or when you upgrade the system?
Yeah, definitely. Two things that we want to be able to do once we do upgrade is one, just increase the traffic inside the tap room itself, as well as distribute a bit more. So we are looking at that. There's big road construction happening in 2018, and so we're thinking that to kind of get through that, we're going to need to be distributing more.
Okay.
We think our business is probably going to go down a little bit for just actual traffic inside the tap room.
Right.
A lot of people try to avoid construction.
Right.
I do the same thing. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good idea, good planning there. Thinking that out that way, because that could. I'm sure that happens with a lot of businesses. Some businesses don't have the option when things like that happen to do anything else, but you may be able to compensate for some of it because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, Thomas from Bellwether Brewing, thank you very much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for Bellwether Brewing for joining us today.
If you are a home brewer looking for a great shop to buy your homebrew ingredients and equipment, why don't you check out Micro Homebrew in Kenmore? Tony and his staff are always happy to help a new or experienced homebrewer find what they need. At Micro Homebrew, they're proud to carry over 100 hop varieties. Visit them today at 17511 68th Avenue Northeast in Kenmore, or find them on Facebook at Micro Homebrew. When you stop in, make sure you tell them that you heard about them on Northwest Brew Talk.
Thank you, the Micro Homebrew, for being a great sponsor these past 6 months. We really appreciate Tony and his crew's interest in our show.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
So thanks again, Tony, and we'll stop by the store one day sometime over this winter, probably.
Yes, they've got some awesome things going on there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that was some of our best interviews we had talked about before we spoke with Bellwether, or some of our best episodes. Interview-wise, it's themselves, though. Matt from Fremont was definitely near in my top 5, without a doubt. Now, how about you, Michelle? I mean, you were there at a lot of interviews. Our friends down in
That was really cool space. Sumerian was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Got to try all their beers, and they have a really awesome space.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's not family friendly.
Well, yes, it's not family friendly. So we were there before they opened, though.
Yeah.
I mean for the day they were. But we talked to their entire staff.
Not their entire staff, but we talked to their brewer,
their entire
and the owners.
Brewer and the owners, and they're super friendly and really, really interested in what they're doing.
Yeah, and just really
Wow, that was amazing. I think we should have some more beer.
Just extremely nice people, which it's a common theme throughout the whole time we do it. Everybody is just so nice, and it's so fun to meet everybody. And what's really fun is trying their beers while they're there to talk to you about them as you're drinking them. I love doing that.
If we were smart, we would have done that earlier on in earlier episodes.
But we didn't really think about it. I mean, the more we got into it and the more we were talking to people, the more it kind of made sense. But that was I think that was my favorite part of the show. Yeah. I mean, besides having the chance to sit down with you and do the recording, which I always had fun doing, but being out there and being there and trying their beers right in front of them and having them talk to you and seeing the passion in their faces was always really exciting.
Well, what I have to say is usually when we did that, we didn't get bad beers. We usually had pretty much everything we liked. We've been to multiple breweries where we didn't like their beer at all.
Yeah, we have more recently.
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. When we did interviews, I can't think of a single time that I went, "Oh, that's okay," or
"No,
wow, that's really bad." I never said anything was really bad.
No, once in a while
you would come across things that you'd try a dark beer. It was like, well, it's good beer, but it's not my favorite because it's not my kind of beer. But
the last in-person interview we did was down in Everett at Large Brewing.
Yeah.
And that was great. A great interview.
Great beer.
Great beer. And they've got a great location. And because it's kind of a mafia crime theme type thing, I really like it.
Well, yeah.
So we're going to have to stop by there again.
Definitely.
When they're open. But last night we happened to head to a couple places. We were down in Seattle, went to Schooner Exact, and nice location. And beer was great.
Yes.
Evergreen IPA
food
was really
was
good.
Too.
And the food was really good.
I think they
just very simple, a very small menu.
Yes,
but
it's not simple. It's not simple. It's good food.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
Yeah, it really was.
It was so good.
It was good. Staff was very nice.
Yep.
And it's a nice little location. I know I read some reviews online. People don't like that it's kid friendly, but there's a bar section. So
yeah, there is. I mean, it's a separate room.
Yes, exactly.
And most breweries don't have that.
Exactly.
So for somebody to complain about it being child friendly, really?
Yeah. So I mean, that
seems ridiculous to me. But.
Yeah, exactly. And it was in a location where you could actually get to and park because we couldn't find parking for a couple of places we wanted to get to. Yeah. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll try and hit them another time.
Yeah.
But then also. We went to an ice cream shop, and there's another brewery next door to that one, and there was just a couple people in there. So hopefully it was just because there was a Seahawks game on or something, and hopefully that's why, because we know we've talked to many people over the past almost 2 years. At some point, even though there's been a brewery opening every month, every couple of weeks, there's going to be some point where some more, because there's already been some that have dropped off since we've been doing the show. But there's going to be more that are going to close because you got to make money. If you're not selling a ton in your tap room, then you've got to be doing distribution.
Yeah.
So let's do another beer and talk about a few more interviews that we did.
This time we get to thank North Jetty Brewing in Long Beach. We're drinking their India Pale Ale, and we got to go visit them. Didn't do an interview, but we were on vacation in Long Beach.
Did an interview with them last year. I interviewed them last year at the
Right.
at the
Not at
Brewers Festival.
We didn't get to do an interview while we were there, though.
Yeah, not while we were there, but we
didn't get to see it when we did the interview. So then we
exactly.
got to go see it, and they bought us some beers and got to try a bunch of stuff. And the nice little tap room location, and in such a small area too. You never know how places like that are going to do, but they're doing pretty well.
It seemed to be relatively busy too. I don't know what it's like off season. I'm sure it's all locals for the most part, but I don't know. It was pretty cool. So
this is their IPA.
Okay.
Named for Cape Disappointment, where Columbia River meets the Pacific Ocean, this beer is hop driver, but not overly bitter and balances well with a malt backbone.
And technically, they're in Seaview.
Yes.
So I mean, it's right near Long Beach. So
their bottle actually says Long Beach Peninsula.
Yeah. So they're in the Long Beach Peninsula, but I guess their location is in Seaview.
Nice color, a little cloudy.
Yep. And I poured mine wrong.
Oh.
So I've got literally 6 inches of head. It smells good though.
Oh, yummy.
Oh, I'm just drinking the head.
It's good. You want to sip on mine?
Yeah.
While you wait your head out?
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Did we have their IPA while we were there?
I don't know. We did one flight of a bunch of different things, and then I think we each had a pint then too.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it is good. It's got a nice
A little pine
is it
flavor.
Pine? Yeah, I think yesterday I finally understood what the pine was.
Took you long enough.
Well,
with all your IPAs too.
I don't know what the pine is.
It's tough. It's tough to taste all this, especially when you've got so many, sometimes several different hops in there, and it's tough to tell sometimes. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it is good. And their beer too. If you're in Seaview or if you see their bottle of stuff,
pick it up.
Their beer is very
Absolutely, very good.
Yeah, we really, really liked it. It's a husband and wife team, and they both brew. Very cool. We had a lot of good interviews. Speaking of husband and wife, Tin Dog.
Oh yeah,
Tin Dog in South Seattle. There,
another one that I went there and went. These are this is my new favorite place.
Yes, exactly. Amazing Belgians.
Yeah.
And husband and wife both brew different kinds of stuff.
She's more into the experimental stuff.
And we did the interview with her, and she laughs, and we had a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a good interview, enjoyed it. And a lot of those like that. Mike Hale, I got to meet again when happened to be, it was almost a year ago. It was for the anniversary of the repeal of Prohibition or whatever it was in December.
Yeah.
And met him at a place in West Seattle, right? Isn't that where we went?
I was with you, but I did not get to go in because I was outside with the kids.
It was
so I didn't get to meet
21
him.
and older. But I met him, and we did an interview. And he's just, again, he's a very nice guy. Been in here, been doing this since when he was an electrician and a councilman back in Colville in Eastern Washington. And then moved. I believe they were down in Spokane, then Kent, and then finally moved over to Seattle. And his big thing is buy local. The closest beer that to you is the best beer you're going to get because it's
that's
the freshest.
The freshest. Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing like getting beer from a brewery.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can get beer on tap, and a lot of these places and a lot of these bars now that have 24, 50 taps.
Yeah.
And it's usually good.
Yeah.
But, man, when it's fresh right from the brewery. I mean, there was stuff at Harmon.
Yeah.
Tasting stuff.
That's my first thought, too.
Tasting stuff that wasn't even carbonated yet, right?
Yeah.
Right from their tanks. And,
so good.
Yes. And another one that we tasted some great stuff, too. And it was a good interview. It was Wander in Bellingham.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. They had some great stuff. And speaking...
Another husband-wife team.
Yeah, exactly. And still, I think it was the first wine barrel aged one we had was from James at Elliott Bay.
Elliott Bay, yep.
He's the West Seattle Elliott Bay brewer.
He had brought some from his because we met him at the
Lakeview.
Was it the
Yeah.
lake? I knew that we met him at the one that he wasn't the actual brewer at that.
Yes, that's where
location.
he lives.
And he had brought us this thermos with his beer in it, and it was so good that it was so worth it for him to bring that.
Yeah,
it was just great.
Again, talking to people, and a lot of these brewers, they want to be the owners too. And I think after they brew for so long, they'd like to be the person running the show because they know what they're doing. They know how to brew beer.
Yeah.
But it's a business.
It is a business. You have to have that side of it. You have to have that side of it. You have to know how to run a business. And, unfortunately, I think a lot of times what they find is that they don't get to brew as much as the owner as they wanted to, as they enjoyed doing. And then there's other places where they're doing everything. They are the business runner.
That's how you keep the costs down.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't hire a Chuckanut didn't even have a salesman until just within the past couple months,
which is crazy. That's
crazy. Which has 100 medals from all the awards they've won, but they couldn't afford to sell more beer than they could make because they sell so much for the distribution that they have, plus at their own tap room.
Yeah. So,
and that was one of my very first interviews with Will and Mari, and it was an amazing interview.
Very long interview.
Mari just gave their entire history, which is in the craft beer business, is just amazing what they've done. I mean, from starting, Thomas Kemper, one of the first craft breweries, to going on to helping breweries open in Mexico and Turkey and in other countries and in other cities in Philadelphia. And Will would help lay out the equipment, and then he'd write like all their initial recipes and everything. And some of these breweries are still brewing his recipes, which is very cool. So there were a lot of good times, a lot of good interviews we did. But we're getting near the end of this show, so we're going to drink one more beer.
Save the best for last.
Best because it's a dark beer. That's what Michelle is saying.
I feel like we've kind of steered away from them recently. When's the last time we
why?
had
Because I buy the beer.
A lot of these ones were all gifts, but a lot of the last bunch that we bought was when we were out in Eastern Washington.
Right. We bought a bunch in Eastern Washington. When
so
we were
not the only buyer then.
No, and when we went to Vancouver, that's why we got Lewitt and North Jetty. Because we went to Vancouver and then up to Long Beach. But, so we got a bunch of different things from there. And this is Harmon's Puget Sound Porter. And this is a dark porter. And Harmon, that was a great interview, too.
And this is a brown porter brewed with 8 different malts to produce a smooth, well-balanced dark beer. Especially roasted barley provides a hint of chocolate. 5.4% ABV and 40 IBUs. And
that was one thing I was sorry that I couldn't. I tried a couple times to get in touch with Skagit Valley Malting. And that was something that I wish that we could have talked to because that talking about specialty malt, is I think that's part of the future of breweries, especially in Washington here, where we've got access to 70% of the nation's hops, and we have a Skagit Valley Malting here in Skagit County, being able to grow along with the WSU Bread Lab, being able to grow all kinds of different barleys and roasting them all different ways. I mean, that's going to provide us. I know that there's several breweries, including Pike, using the Alba malt, the Skagit Alba malt.
Yeah.
But that's going to give us in Washington some things that other places don't have access to.
Absolutely.
I mean, yes, maybe you can brew some great beer in other cities, but you're not going to have access to some of this stuff. Some of these breweries here, especially the ones in Eastern Washington, they get access to experimental hops like all the time.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. And fresh hop beer is amazing. I'm sorry.
Mike's had some exciting times here
I've
lately.
tried as many as I could.
If he sees it on tap somewhere, that's what he's getting.
Yes, because it's
without a
just
doubt.
amazing beer.
It is very good if you like hops.
Yes. The last beer that we made here at home was an IPA, and it smelled wonderful while it was fermenting.
Uh-huh.
And the first few bottles were really good, and then the flavor died. And I don't know what happened to it.
It's still not bad.
It's kind of like a pale ale now.
Yeah, it's just less hoppy. The hoppiness kind of died away.
Okay. Did you already talk about this? Wow. Very chocolatey. This is the Puget Sound Porter from Harmon.
Yeah. I read the description, I think.
I know. Did you talk about it, though?
I think so.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't remember.
Wow. That is great.
Yeah.
That is really good.
Ah.
Really, like
I'm shocked to hear this.
like you're
from you.
eating a chocolate bar,
it's
you know,
good.
it's like melting in your mouth, and you get that, you know, you have to like coffee, too. You really have to like coffee to drink a beer like this.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I don't think, if you don't like chocolate or coffee.
Who doesn't like coffee, though?
Yeah, but if you don't like chocolate or coffee, you really couldn't drink something like this.
No, but if you don't like chocolate or coffee, why are you aren't living.
But yeah, this is good too. I like that. You want some more, don't you?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Keep little hands away from that.
I'm trying.
But yeah, it's good stuff.
I love to watch the.
I know. It's kind of like when I make espresso. I love watching it as it.
I'm sorry. When you make espresso?
That's what I said. Espresso.
Oh, it sounded very
I don't say
espresso-y.
espresso. Espresso is an Eastern thing. I say espresso.
No.
I'm Italian also. Okay, I should know how to say it.
You should. I agree.
All right. Anyhow, to all of our listeners that have been listening to us for many months, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
We really appreciate you taking time to listen to our podcast. And
we had a lot of fun.
Yes, we did have a lot of fun. You know, whether we come back and do something else, probably won't be beer related, but there's no reason why we can't drink beer while we're doing it. But
there you go.
We definitely still have Washington beer, the history of brewing in the Evergreen State. That is still available. I'm doing a talk this Thursday at Big Al Brewing with the Rat City Homebrewers. Next month, I'm going to be at Naked City on the 6th. And then on the 10th, we're doing a special thing with Urban Family Brewing, where you can get a copy of my book and a flight. And one of the owners or brewers from Urban is going to talk about their beer. And I'm going to do a history talk, too. So we've got some good things coming up, good holiday gifts. Definitely look for that if you're looking for some holiday gifts. So. Washington beer, I talked about it before the book came out. Didn't talk too much after it came out. But the book is the most recent history of brewing in the state, from the 1800s up to modern times. Every brewery that I could get in up until the end of 2015 is in there. So,
there's a lot of information.
Yeah, there's a ton of information. Unfortunately, I was very far over in my word count, and all the modern breweries recently had to get their stories cut down, but everybody's still in there. All of the stories are there. And once again, that brings us to the end of this episode of Northwest Brew Talk. Until next time, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.